Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast. I'm Hansel. I'm here with my best buddy Wayne. We wrote a book. It's called theCoderBros Go to White Castle, and it's the stories of our life adventures from when we met all the way up to running a company together called The Coder School. Writing down our stories made us realize that in the end, as the podcast title says, we are so Asian. So we thought it would be cool to hear the adventures of other Asians out there too, so that's what this podcast is about. Wayne, what do we got going on today?
All right, today's guest has one of the wildest survival stories you'll ever hear, but his life is about so much more than a shark attack. That's right. Of course, we do want to hear about that, so we will. He's a great outdoorsman, still surfing, which is incredible, and enjoying almost everything outdoors. He's also had a great career in the tech world. He's president and founder of NovaCare, which is a biomedical company. And he's also a grad of Georgia Tech. Go Yellow Jackets, had to call that out. So let's welcome Tony Lee.
Hey guys.
Hey, a little intro music for you. Get you in the mood. That means you are actually in Hawaii, Tony.
Yes, I am.
That's right.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining us today. Why don't we start off and I just saw you a couple of weeks ago and we talked about what you're doing, but tell the audience, what are you up to now? What's sort of your general story at this point?
Well, these days it's kind of semi-retirement. I did it started out as called iGenics, and then we switched the name to NovaCare. I founded that company. We're doing a biosynthetic cornea. Biosynthetic cornea, there are about 15 million people in the world who are blind due to only their corneas. And up until us, the only solution was transplant. The problem is there's only between 40 and 60,000 transplants available per year. And so that was something we tried to address. And so we developed, with some of our partners at UCSF and Johns Hopkins, the world's first biosynthetic cornea. This is a cornea that we actually grow in a lab. And
so when you said it was limited, the transplant, does that mean it had to come from a corpse or some other person? I mean, nobody's donating their current corneas, right? It's not like I could just, I got two of them, I'll give you one, like the whole kidney thing.
Wait, I would give you mine, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. And then we would just both be like half blind and we'd be the coder half blind bros, I guess. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, it has to be harvested within an hour of death. And, this is an interesting thing because in China, back in the early 2000s, we were looking at that market and they were saying, oh, we have no cornea shortage. We have tons of volunteers. And that was back before they required, they could just take corneas from people in prison. And that was before they required informed consent. And it was amazing. I mean, there were hospitals in Shanghai who were doing 4,000 corneas per year. I mean, that's like the entire state of California in one hospital in Shanghai. But they changed the rules there, and then all those corneas kind of dried up. It's incredible how many donors you can get.
You just put eye drops in it. No, that's just a stupid joke.
So Tony, you're not running the company anymore. Did you sort of move on from being the guy?
Right. Yeah. In 2019, I stepped away, and I still maintain chairman of the board, but I stepped away from day-to-day operations. We transferred. So we had started manufacturing so we started the company in Honolulu. Back 2009, and then we opened, once we got FDA approval, we opened a manufacturing plant in China around 2014, and in a city called Deyang, which is kind of close to Chengdu. We got some amazing help from the Chinese government, some matching funds, and built just a world-class ISO 9001 manufacturing facility there. And from there, we export to the rest of the world.
So outside Chengdu, that seems like that's the last place I would have thought you'd say, like Shanghai or Beijing, somewhere like bigger deal. And even Honolulu, I don't think high tech, I think surfing.
That's true. You would just
so why Honolulu and why this big city outside of Chengdu?
Well, Honolulu started because of a tax break. I mean, to be frank. So my company before this, we were Coalescent. We were doing heart valves, and we had done an exit to Medtronic. Nice. And there was large tax liability, and the state of Hawaii was offering this amazing tax credit to do biotech companies. And so us and a lot of other biotech companies moved to Honolulu. This
Oh,
was back
wow.
in the late 2000s. And we just stayed. A lot of them, as soon as the tax credit expired, they left, but we stayed. But many, and when we first started doing manufacturing, we were manufacturing in Honolulu, but it is quite expensive to manufacture in Honolulu.
I
And
imagine.
that's
Yeah,
where,
everything probably had to be shipped in,
Yeah,
right?
shipped in and everything. But what a cool
very
place.
much so. And
Yeah.
but then that's when we found Chengdu. And it's interesting. China, for their first phase of development, this is back in the 80s. They were developing what they call tier one cities. That was Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen,
Shenzhen, yeah.
and
Shenzhen.
so they're working on the big
Those are
three
the tier
cities.
one. Okay.
Tier one. And then somewhere in the 90s, they started developing what they call tier two cities. And so all the breaks went away from the tier one cities, and then they went to the tier two cities. And there was like Wuhan, Kunming, even Chengdu was a tier two. And then sometime in the mid 2000s, they started developing what they call the tier three cities. So the deal that was when we were setting up, this was in around 2014, well 2012, was that if you developed in a tier one city, you got actually a negative penalty. So they were extra taxes, extra. So they were
Oh,
really trying to
wow.
discourage
Wow.
U.S. companies
Okay.
from going to tier one cities. And then tier two cities was neutral. There was zero. There was no incentive, no penalty. But the tier three cities, you were getting lots of incentives. And so Dalian is a city of 3 million people, which in the U.S. is bigger than most states.
That's pretty
Yeah.
big.
But in China is considered
It's
tiny.
like a
In
village.
China, yeah.
It's just
A billion
yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half northeast, maybe an hour northeast of Chengdu, depending on the traffic.
And so how was your
And
Chinese when you first got there? Because that is super intimidating, right? I mean, business Chinese.
Yeah.
yes. Actually, I started doing business in China around 2006. Bought a
Wow.
place in Beijing
Bought a
and
place
around the
even.
Second Ring Road.
Wow,
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
we're like
And
layering the onion here. There's so many other things. So before the cornea thing, there was the heart valve thing, and then you got exited that. So even before that, you were doing something in Beijing?
no. That was more personal, and I just saw real
Okay.
estate opportunity, and that was just before the Olympics had been awarded, and I just saw some opportunity. Unfortunately, I sold way too early because that's a whole other story, but I sold too early on that one.
Wow.
They were changing laws, and I thought I should get out while the getting was good, and I get
And
out
then it
10
just
years
went.
too early.
That's crazy though.
Yeah.
That's some serious
Yeah.
risk taking. So then bring us
But
back. So Georgia Tech was like what, I guess in the 90s, I would guess, early 90s, something like that.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
like what did
yeah.
you do right out of
Graduated.
school?
Well, I went to grad school, and that's where I got lucky because I was working on. They were doing computational fluid dynamics had just been developed, and this was basically taking computers and looking at fluid flow. It's kind of like finite element analysis for structures, but they were applying it to fluids. And it was just coming around, and so we were applying that to biological. It had been developed for the Alaskan pipeline because you're moving millions and millions of tons of crude,
Wow.
and it's so valuable that even a tiny bit of turbulence can cost you hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh
And
wow.
so developing an analytical tool to remove that turbulence
Yeah.
is very worthwhile. But so we were taking those very tools and applying it to arterial problems. And so I had a chance to design a heart valve, and then went out to Silicon Valley, spent 3 years working for another company. And in my lunch breaks, I would go pitch. And this is like late
Pitch your
90s.
heart
And
valve. You're
so,
like, here's the valve that I
oh
Here's the
yeah,
invented.
valve,
Oh
man. This is
man.
gonna save you, billions. It's that
I
This
turbulence.
is
was
in the
pitching
90s. So this was like
constantly.
before the
Yeah.
dot-com boom and everything already.
Well, it
Before.
was during the dot-com boom,
Okay.
and that's what sucked because I'd be sitting there in these waiting rooms, and I'd have my business plan was like this thick. I mean, I had thought out every
Yeah.
contingency.
Everything.
I had
Yeah.
worked out. Yeah, I had spreadsheets with like what my monthly burn would be, through like 2 years. I'm just
And then a guy
every
next
month
to you
was
comes
like
in with like a one pager that says web van,
internet.
groceries online.
exactly.
And it's like, I haven't really thought
And-
through, but think about it. Groceries online. Boom,
yeah,
one page.
yeah,
And like
exactly. And it would be
100
like one
million.
page, and it'd be an arrow pointing up, and it'd be like,
Yeah.
bam, and
They
they
would
go,
just be
here's
like,
$5 million for that guy.
yeah,
And I watched that
dogfood.com.
over and over again. It just sucked. I'd be sitting there, and then, but that's what finally got me funded was the .com collapse. Somewhere around '99, early 2000, the entire floor fell out, and then every VC was standing there going, "Oh, maybe having all our eggs in one basket wasn't such a great idea."
Right. All those .coms. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the idea at that point was diversify, and so that's when I finally.
So
got,
at least they had some money left. I would have thought they just burned
That's true,
burned
too.
through it.
They're like, here's my $2 left. Like,
So you actually did the whole pitch deck thing, and you got an investor to give you money, and then you started the company. Was that on your own, or did you have founders with you?
Yeah, I had founders with me. I mean, it's kind of complicated because it's not like at the time I was 28, and they didn't trust me yet. In tech, in your world, a founder, like Zuckerberg, coming, right at 18 years
Straight
old,
out
still in college.
Absolutely.
In college.
Absolutely. In
Yeah.
college. They drop
Probably
out of college. And,
Yeah, and they'll get crazy funding. But in my world, in biotech, I mean, you look at most of the founders; they're all guys in their 40s and 50s, and
Right.
it's just a very different world. You don't trust that kind of money to someone who's that young. And when you do, it ends up being Theranos.
Yeah. That was a great Netflix documentary. Anybody listening out there, that is so amazing.
That's
that
funny.
documentary.
I'm not putting that out there. Anyway, but
fake it till you make it, Tony.
I actually, they actually wanted me to work in one of their companies, so they brought me aboard to help out one of their companies that they had funded that needed some help. And anyway, but through that, I was able to make some other contacts and bring a team with me to the valve company. But
So you had that invention
so
for I guess it sounds like many years, and so you were trying to somehow get it to market, and then eventually, did you get a giant chunk of money? Like what was your big tranche in the beginning? How much was it? And then
no,
was
it was
that
small. It was I think it was about 4 million.
4 million? Okay, but that was enough for you guys to get started?
Oh yeah. I mean, biotech companies. That's the other thing is, I mean, it takes us a lot of money and it takes us a lot of years because our big milestone is FDA approved. Well, the big milestone is getting clinical.
There's no way that can be fast.
And then, and doing a valve. Let me tell you, all the testing that's required, and then by the time you're ready to hit market, you've probably raised something in the range of $30 million, and that was back in the 2000s. Nowadays, it could be a lot more. Clinical trials are bigger; they're more lengthy now. You got to follow the patients for longer. And
I guess you'd have to do it like on a pig first or something. Like we're talking about a heart valve, right? You have to do it on animals, and it has to work on an animal, and then so that lead time must be huge. The runway.
Pig is exactly right. That's and you choose an animal that's appropriate to the model. And so a pig was a good model for what we're doing.
Good call, Hansel. Good call.
That's amazing though. So is this like one of those things where like a lot of people have your invention now in their hearts?
There are a number of different people. I can't remember what the numbers are now. But yeah, a lot of people have the valve inside them now.
That's crazy.
And although I think it's been retired now. The acquisition occurred almost 20 years ago, so it's been a while, and it had a good lifespan. And but yeah, I think it's gone now. And this is.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning,
and
it was something you came up with something that like was it easier to make, or did it open easier, or somehow was able to replace real cells?
Better flow characteristics. What I really invented was a set of tools to analyze fluid flow through the valve, and so we had better flow characteristics, better ejection fractions, things like that. And I mean, we're only talking like I think at our best we were getting about 12% more, but that's a big deal. I mean, that could be the difference between being able to walk up a set of stairs.
12%
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, and the other thing we were really working with, and the thing that really got us acquired was we were working on smaller profiles, things that so less invasive. That's where the valve market was heading to less and less
Yeah.
invasive surgeries, and so we could mess around with smaller profiles and smaller collapsible valves that you could insert through a smaller opening. These are all the things we were working on that ended up going.
That's crazy stuff. I mean, if you think about like sort of the real life and death impact that you had on people, meanwhile, Wayne and I are like, oh, we have all kinds of impact on kids. But that's
Yeah,
like
right.
nothing compared to what you're doing. You're like saving people's lives. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
Well,
mean, luckily,
that,
every time something breaks in
yeah.
our system, we're like, it's not mission critical.
Yeah, nothing is mission critical
If
for
something
us.
breaks in your
Yours is
system,
life
I mean,
critical.
some dude's having, his heart attack, and there's like life and death for real.
Yeah.
So that's way
Well,
serious.
sometimes when you sit in those pitch meetings and stuff, and you hear like sometimes you're in the lobbies and stuff, you're talking to people, and they talk about, oh well, we're delivering pet food directly
Yeah.
to the consumer, and this
That's
is
right.
saving lives
Yeah.
because it's making people don't have to get on the road, and it's making their pets more healthy. It's
That's
affecting
right.
the world.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh no, we're
absolutely.
just working on a heart valve.
Yeah, it's just a heart valve.
Yeah, you
And then,
idiots.
Oh, dudes,
That's
That's
uh,
hilarious. So that
oh
went on
yeah.
then until like how long? Like about 20 years or so before you exited? Like in the mid
No, no,
2010s?
no, no, no.
No?
It was a lot. That was a lot faster because I think we got about 6 years, no, 7 years, 8 years was we the key is to get to market, and then once you get to market, a small company in biotech, it's hard for small companies to really compete with the big guys because they have distribution. They have so much. Their distribution is. They have a sales rep in almost every hospital,
Yeah.
and while we're in there, we're selling one valve, which is one product. They're in there and they've got 30 different products to sell. So per hour, their sales reps is
Yeah.
selling so much more,
So,
dollar
so the
wise.
goal is to sell yourself to a company like that so that they can distribute?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're
I
looking
see.
at their distribution channels. It's the same with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. A lot of pharmaceutical startups, they'll get to the first phase. They'll get through clinical trials, or they'll get through maybe phase 1, phase 2, and then they'll look for an acquisition because it's really hard to compete with the big guys for distribution.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyway, so I mean, going back to China, I mean, so we got into China pretty early. We started talking to the guys in Beijing in around 2012, and
So this was after the valve company. This is after your exit?
yes, after
So this
that
is
company,
completely
then
separate.
So
we started the I company,
Medtronic bought your other one.
right?
That's where you exited, and then you were just totally. You already disengaged. You weren't like trying to vest options or something and hanging out with them.
No, 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 no. They want you. They want well, and I'm different in every in tech, but in biotech, they usually want the founders out
Oh,
because they have plenty of management. They don't need management.
I see.
What they want is the engineers. They wanted the scientists. They also
Ah.
wanted the assembly know-how. The last thing they need is upper management. So they had us stick around for 6 months, and then just to help with the transition, and then
Okay.
Wow, that
they
is
wanted to see
interesting.
it. They showed us the door. Yeah.
So then the Beijing thing
Um,
was just a completely different thing. You're just with my other buddies and let's go to Beijing and ride this wave.
Yeah. Let's go. Tax breaks.
Well, yeah, that was.
There we go.
Well, I was looking at starting a company there, doing. I was, big China was getting big back then, and so I was really very interested in China, and my Chinese was really horrible. I mean, I grew up in Tennessee.
Hey,
And,
Alabama, right here, and that's why I had to call out your Yellow Jackets in the Georgia Tech because I know a lot of people that went there. So
it's a fun
Great
school.
school.
That was the first time I really ran into a lot of other Asians because
Yep.
growing up, I grew up in a small town called Hendersonville in the middle of Tennessee,
wow.
and there were just no other Asians in the entire county, and it was big news when we moved there.
We could definitely share some things. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, so I was only like a couple hours south of you.
Was your dad
Yeah.
aerospace?
Yeah, sort of.
Of
Yeah,
course.
he ended up getting into like aerospace and the contracting there. So we were some of the few Asians that were there.
My
I knew
dad
all
was
the
in
others.
the car industry.
car industry in Tennessee.
Yeah, that back in the early '80s, all the Japanese car companies were opening there. Like Saturn opened there. Well, that's not Japanese, but American. And then Nissan,
Right.
Toyota, they
Yeah.
all opened plants in Tennessee. And so my dad worked for a company that did spray painting, but not like your home spray painting. I mean, spray painting entire cars. And
Hmm.
so yeah, they opened an office down there. And my dad went down with that.
Well,
So,
that's
so
neat.
did you have a lot of Chinese? Did you learn a lot of Chinese growing up? It sounds like your Chinese is kind of more conversational. Like by the time you got to Beijing, what
Yeah.
level was it at?
Oh, like really almost zero.
Wow.
Where
Because
And you
mine
went
is
to
right
Beijing.
now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I spoke. At home we spoke Chinese, but even that sort of thing. I mean, when
Oh,
we were growing up, we spoke Chinese, but by the time we got to 12 or 13, my parents just gave up.
Yeah.
Because it just made conversations take forever. It wasn't really working. There were no other Chinese people around. I was completely illiterate in Chinese. I mean, I cannot read or write other than a menu. And but I really started back in 2006 when I started spending a lot of time in China. I started trying to speak a lot, trying to and
maybe
the
date,
trick.
maybe date some women there. That'll help your
That's how you do
Yeah,
Chinese. That's how you
it.
do it.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean that's the hard thing, and that's the biggest thing I was trying to do is, I mean, it's one thing to be able to kind of communicate. It's the other thing to kind of be able to sell.
Oh yeah.
Because that's
Yeah,
literally what you're trying to do when you're trying to raise money or when you're trying to get government contracts. You're trying to, you have to be able to sell. And so
that's
there's
hard.
communication and there's being charming. And so dating is a good way to try that out, is to
That's
try to,
true.
you're trying to be charming, you're trying to be interesting.
Yeah, you don't want to
You know,
sound
one of
like
the
a
tricks,
kindergartner, right? You're trying to go on a date. And so you're
yeah,
absolutely right.
because
There's a whole nother
because
level.
that heart, yeah, because you're trying to get someone to sign over a lot of money, and it hardly inspires them if someone can barely speak, and it's not very inspiring. You don't want to write that check. And so, one of the things I used to do a lot was um, I would buy DVDs of U.S. sitcoms, and if you look at a lot of these DVDs, they have different language choices.
Oh,
Yeah.
there
So
you
at the
go.
time, yeah, at the time I bought the box set of Friends. You know that
I
TV
was
show
about to
Friends?
say Friends. Just out of my
Yeah,
mind, I was like, I would want to watch that.
That's
In
your level of
China.
yeah.
Chinese. It's friends level of Chinese.
Chandler
Well,
Bing speaking fluent Mandarin. I would love to see it.
exactly.
That would be
Well, it's because
awesome.
it's conversational. And it's not like you because you know the plots, right? And it's not like they're very complicated. You can just kind of follow along what's happening, and you just hear the way they say things, and you
Right.
get the tones. And so I would listen to them a lot. Just listen to them in the background. I'd be doing other things. I'd have it on. I'd just be
It's a
listening
great
to them.
tip.
Yeah.
And
So,
and then I
so
moved to How I Met Your Mother, and I just would
Oh,
go.
another
another
great
classic.
one. Love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
it's
just
all
switch it
it's
to
all the dating
Chinese, switch
shows.
it to Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then if you
just
just took
listen
like
to it.
Barney's lines, you could get a date, I think. You
Honestly,
know?
that's exactly the
You
person I was
just,
listening to the most. I was listening to Barney because listening
yeah.
to the way he talked to
Because
But
I'll
yeah,
people,
bet
the
his
confidence,
intonation, his confidence, everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the way he'd
Love
say
hilarious.
it.
things. Because there's a Chinese guy on the other end of that, who is the actor, who
Yeah.
is, they're saying, okay, your role is to be this guy who's a pickup artist, and
Right.
so how do you do that? What do you say? What do anyway?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then after the so Beijing, and then after Beijing was your cornea company, right? Novacara.
Right.
And then you, I guess you exited that as well, or you're still in it, but it hasn't been sold to anybody yet. But now you're just
No,
working on
no.
boards. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess we should go to the shark attack because that's really what changed a lot of things. Because
Yeah,
it
I
was
would
around
love to hear it.
2015.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you're
we had
willing to talk
just
about it, I would still be like shell shocked. So that's awesome. But yeah.
2015. Okay.
yeah. So we were in the process of raising another round of funding. We were looking to we had gotten a product approved, but we were looking to make some improvements. So we were raising a round of funding, and we were right in the process. We had gotten a lead investor on board. And at the time, I was training for a triathlon, and me and a
Oh,
couple
cool.
buddies were kind of training together. But at the time, there's this island. You guys, I know Hansel knows Hawaii pretty well. There's this island about a mile off the coast of Hawaii. It's called There's two islands. twin islands. They're called the
Wait, that
Mokulao,
thing is a
sorry.
mile off. So this is like, isn't this off Kailua?
Yeah, Kailua Lanikai.
And
Yeah.
that island, is it that flat one that you can see people kayaking to?
No, no, that one's called Flat Island. And that, well, there's another name I know, but I don't know what that
Okay,
name
because that one
is.
didn't seem like a mile
No,
away. That seemed a lot closer. Okay, so there's
no,
another
no,
one a
that
mile
one's really
away.
close. Yeah, it's off Lanikai Beach. If you look,
Okay.
there's Twin Islands.
Lanakai.
It's
Okay.
it's more like about 8/10 of a mile. Um, but when you have to swim because there's currents there, so you end up swimming about a mile.
Mm.
So then you swim to the island, and I was on my way back, and a tiger shark came up behind me. And I normally we swim this as
So
part
wait,
of
you
a
were
large.
swimming, you were not surfing,
Right, right. I was swimming.
and you were training for a triathlon. Ah, okay.
And
Crazy.
normally we swim with a large group, but so it was a Saturday morning, or maybe it was a Sunday morning. Anyway, but it was a large. But the night before, my buddy Maz and I had gone out, have a couple drinks, and the training group started at 7 a.m., but couldn't make it up in time.
Yeah.
So we figured, yeah. So both him and I overslept. So we were both. So in the morning, I called him up and said, "Hey, you want to just do the swim, just the two of us?" And that was probably a mistake because you want to stay in. The biggest thing is you got to stay in numbers, and
Okay.
because sharks don't want to attack groups. And so it's just the two of us, and it had been raining, so the water was a little cloudy.
Ooh.
We got to the island okay, but on the way back, so there's a large current that comes off the island, and so the first 100 yards or 200 yards. You don't try to stay, you just swim hard because if you try to wait for somebody else, you get pushed by the current. So the way you do it is you swim hard for the first 150, 200 yards, and then you
Okay.
get into the center channel where there's no current, and then you wait for people to catch up there. And so that's what happened. I was ahead of my buddy, and I was in that central current or that central channel area where there's very
Mm-hmm.
low current, and I was just swimming very slowly, kind of
Right.
waiting for Maz to catch up. And all of a sudden, I didn't even see it coming. It was like I said, the water's a little cloudy, and it just,
Damn.
my feet were kicking like a flutter kick, and it just came and grabbed both my feet in its mouth.
Both.
Uh, yeah, I found
So
out
you
later
were
it was a
swimming
female
forward. You weren't
shark.
treading. You were swimming forward. So you're kind
It's a
of
little
horizontal.
flutter
Yep.
kick, but
You
then
came from
both
behind you.
legs are locked in all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
So I'm trying
later
to picture it
on,
because usually out in the middle of the ocean in Hawaii, it's fairly clear. Even when dust comes up or whatever,
yeah.
it's pretty deep, right? And so it's clear enough. But in this case, was it cloudy enough to where the visibility, like could you see your hands? You could probably see your hands, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You could see your
Okay.
hands, but you couldn't see like I was probably in about 40, 50 feet of water. I couldn't see the bottom. Normally I
Okay.
can, but on
Okay.
that day I couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's still clear-ish. So like if you
yeah.
would turn around, you would have been able to see him coming.
If I had turned
If
around,
you
I would have
turned
been able to see
around,
him.
I mean, it came
Okay.
Yeah,
directly from the back,
Yeah. So anyway,
right?
sorry, keep
yep.
keep going. So it got you by your feet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like the Bay Area. The Bay Area is very,
No,
the ocean in the Bay is very murky. You can't see,
you
you can't
can't
even
see
see
a
your
thing
You
hands.
here.
can't see anything. Yeah.
No, but yeah, Hawaii is much better. Yeah, so he just grabbed my legs and then forced me down,
And did you know
and
right
just
away
pushed me
as soon
down.
as it happened, you're like, that is a shark?
I honestly, because I didn't feel any pain for the first, it was this violent grab. And at
Hmm.
first I thought Mads had caught up with me and he had just
Right.
grabbed my
Just screwing
legs.
with
I mean,
you or
that's literally
something.
my first thought. And then I turned around and that's when I absolutely knew what it was. And I grabbed, I luckily, because I surf a lot, I was smart enough to grab a good breath. And then I just
That's cool.
started trying to punch the thing. And
Right.
they have these pictures of my hands, when they got to the emergency room, and there was no skin on my knuckles because I've been
Oh
punching that thing
man.
so much. Is literally all the bones on my knuckles were showing.
Oh
Ouch.
my
And
God.
That's nasty. So, but in the
yeah,
water, you don't have a
You
lot of
can't
strength,
even
I'm
punch
assuming,
that
because
hard
there's
underwater.
no,
You were underwater, right?
yeah, I was trying to punch the nose because I'd heard somewhere that the
right
nose is the vulnerable
That's what they
point.
always
that
say,
they're
punch the
sensitive.
nose.
And
But
do you know if you
Yeah,
connected or was it just kind of a blur?
I, I, I felt like I connected pretty good a few times, but um,
that did not do
I
it.
mean, yeah, and it was in my mind, so who knows how hard I really connected. But what the real thing changed was when my leg came off, because
Holy
I was
shit.
in that forward prone position because he had me by it was a female shark, had me by legs. That once the leg came across, when the leg came off, I could turn around and face the shark. And that's when I kind of had it by the nose and it was driving me forward, and I saw its eyes. And this is the craziest thing because I mentioned that we always do tests on animals before we test on humans. And for my eye company, we were doing tests on pig eyes. And pigs have what they call a third membrane, a nictitating membrane, so a third eyelid. So their eyes close like this, and then one goes across.
That's what sharks have,
And
right? When they bite, don't
yes,
sharks have that
it's
too?
exactly what sharks have.
Oh,
And
man.
pigs use it because they can run through the brush, and that third
Oh,
eyelid protects their eyes from getting cornea scratches. That's why when dogs chase pigs, they end up with scratched corneas because the pigs
Hmm.
can just run through the brush and not get scratched up. But anyway, the minute the shark blinked, I was like, "Oh, that's a pig eye." And so what we do is we operate on the pigs, and then once we're done, we take the eyes out because we want to see how well the operation went.
Hmm.
And so the way you enucleate an eye in a pig is you just push on the medial aspect, and the eyeball pops out.
so you
just
actually
push
thought
really
about
hard.
this.
Yeah,
You're
that went
looking
through
at
your
the
Yeah.
head.
shark,
All
and it's
that
kind of staring
training,
at you.
all
You're
of
like,
your
wait a minute, pig's
biomedical.
eye. That's
Yeah, that's
insane.
crazy.
Well, the other thing I tried was grabbing the gills, and I had heard that, but I remember that one that didn't work at all.
Didn't do
So I just
anything.
pushed on its eye, like right here in the medial aspect, really hard, and the eyeball popped right out. Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I just grabbed it and just ripped it right out, and then the
Oh,
shark let
man.
me go.
And then the shark
And
was
I
freaked
remember,
out. And yeah.
yeah, and I remember that swim back to the surface. I swear it felt like an eternity. I'm sure it was only like 2 seconds or whatever,
Well,
but
you were
I was
missing
just
a leg.
swimming
I
like
mean,
well, I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't.
oh,
I
you
didn't
didn't even
process
know
that.
that.
It didn't process. So I got to the surface and I'm treading water. I got the shark's eye in my hand. I'm like, whoa, shit, what am I doing with this?
What am I doing
And
with this? Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm treading water, and then all of a sudden a foot floats up, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, someone
shit.
missed a foot. And I would look down. I go, oh my god, it's my foot. And so I take the foot and I stick it in my waistband of my swim trunks,
That
and I
that's
go,
what's so
well,
crazy,
Wow.
Tony. Like
start getting the
we were talking
shore.
a couple weeks ago, and you were just like, so I took the foot that I put into my pocket. I was like,
And put
what
it
do you
into my
mean by that?
pocket. Like,
Like,
what?
holy cow,
Well,
that's
I needed my
insane.
hands so I could swim,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
and then I
And where was your buddy at this time? Was he still catching up to you?
so he was still catching up, and so and then I decided a bit of backstroke so I can yell because I realized we're over half a mile from shore.
Ooh,
Yeah.
And we found this out later because my buddy had a GPS watch, and so he looked at the GPS watch and was like, "Oh, we were a half mile from shore. We were long." And so I'm backstroking and I'm just yelling for help. And just I got lucky, and there was a father and a son out there on canoes, and they came by and they picked me up, and then the father picked me up, and then the son went to go pick up my friend, and they got us both to shore, and that's what saved my life.
whoa. Well,
But
it sounds like a couple things
I
in your
mean,
life, including how you fought back.
Yeah. How you fought back and just like being able to still swim and like just
So what
not
was
be.
your, I
well,
mean, what was the mindset at the time? Was it just a blur, or do you remember how you were, other than, hey, this is
no,
like a pig's eye?
I was no, I was very. I mean, I was very, very conscious and very awake. And I remember, there's a study I read a long time ago that said, in any kind of accident, on average, if I'm sorry, the dogs are barking in the background. Is that
All good.
All
All good.
good. All good.
if you make it to the ambulance, your chance of survival goes up to 50% right away. If you make it to the ER, it goes to like 90%. So my
Wow.
whole goal was I have to make it to the ER. If I make it to the ER, I'm going to live. So I just, whatever I had to do, I just had to remain conscious. So I was sitting there. I couldn't even breathe at that point because I literally was just out of blood.
Yeah.
They were shocked at how much blood they had to give me because I had almost no blood. I was almost
Wow.
completely desanguinated by that point. And I
And,
was
and,
just
and yet you're
doing,
thinking about these statistics and stuff because your brain barely has any blood left, and you're thinking 90%. I got to get to the.
Because the
That's
time
yeah.
it
pretty.
So I was
took
sitting there
with, I
trying to
mean,
do
at that kind of a wound
sequences in my
must have
head.
just been pouring all like your blood. I don't even know how you could have had enough to.
I got very, this is just all this stuff I found out later, but one of the doctors was telling me, you got really lucky because he says it's amazing. Some of the vessels clotted off, and he said it's just shocking because usually in salt water those vessels will not clot, but he said somehow some of those vessels clotted. The vessel there's no blood, there's no pressure in it, so it just collapsed on itself and it clotted for some reason.
Oh,
Wow.
that probably
Clotted,
got
you mean like
lucky.
naturally clotted, like with platelets or whatever? Like
Yeah.
really?
And then, when the father finally caught up, and his name is Julian Liverton, he did took his rash guard and tried to tie a tourniquet, but it was
okay.
both my legs, and it's really hard to tourniquet with a rash guard. So
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow. So were
but
you pretty, I mean, it sounds like you were pretty, I sometimes think like after you told me the story, I think like if that were to happen to me, would I just be flipping out and just like screaming and yelling and just not know what to think? It sounds like you're the opposite. You're like super calm about it. You're just like, hey, this happened to me. I'm gonna make myself live.
yeah, I guess I don't think everyone always says, "Oh, how did you?" I would have been freaked out, but I really think that people would be surprised.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people, because it's hard to say when you're not in that environment, but a lot of people have put into that environment. I think a lot more people would be. I think their reaction would be a lot different than they think.
Yeah.
I never would have thought. I never knew, but I never thought what it would be like. But I was surprised. I mean, I didn't panic at all. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I needed to stay alive. I was just running math sequences in my head to keep my brain going.
Math
And
sequences, that is the Asian in you.
well,
That
You're
is
talking about an
totally
Asian.
Asian. So the quadratic formula at this point, as I put my foot in
well,
my pocket,
uh,
is, you know,
Oh my
and
goodness.
then I remember I was in the back of the ambulance, and they didn't have any blood there because I kept saying blood, blood. And the guy's like, "No, we don't have any blood." So I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, great." And so I was just riding in the back of it, and I was looking at my pulse ox, looking at the screens there, and I just watched my O2 level dropping. And I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, that was very bad." And the EMT was just noticing I was looking at it. He looked, and he turns it away from me because
Oh,
yeah,
man. It's
he's
like we
like,
don't want you to see it go
yeah,
down like that.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
so the key was when, and I just, yeah, I knew that the minute, because, I recognized Queens because, we had done some clinical work there. And the minute we pulled in the
Hospital.
emergency room awning, I could see the awning. I just let myself pass. I just passed out. And because
Wow.
I made it to the
You
ER.
made it to
So
the
we made it to
ER,
the
and
ER.
you
We're
probably
going to
used
live.
every ounce of everything just to be, and then at ER, you just
Yeah.
passed out.
Just stay alive,
Wow.
stay
Talk
alive.
about
Once you
the
get to
will to
ER, you'll be
live.
fine.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And and then how long did it take before? So right now you have one leg amputated, and you're on one
Yes.
prosthetic, and then the other one
No.
they were able to reattach. Yeah.
They're able to reattach. Yeah, I got
So
lucky. They
wait,
happened
so
to be a
both
plastic
legs
surgeon.
were severed completely?
Yeah.
So
And one
one
And
leg was
one was
then,
reattached.
lost, and the other was you brought back, and they actually that was
Yeah.
the one that they put back
oh, so
on.
the one that you stuck in your pocket, you say, they reattached
Hmm.
it? And that's
Yeah.
insane. So the other one, literally,
Well,
if you had
well,
found it, oh my gosh,
Tony,
that's crazy.
I
tell us
frankly
about
don't
how it
know.
was
I
reattached.
mean,
Yeah.
well, I mean, reattaching those things is, well, I got lucky because there happened to be a plastic surgeon in town from the Cleveland Clinic who had done the first face transplant. His name is Daniel Lam. And so this was a guy, a master of microvascular surgery. And so my leg was completely skeletal, because all the meat was gone. So he was able to pull some muscles out of my back and reconstruct the muscle because you can't just attach skin to bone. And so, and they had a metal rod there too. So you can't attach skin to metal rod either. So he was able to take muscles from my back and wrap it around the bones in my leg and foot, and then put skin grafts on top of that. And that's what I walk on now.
That
Yeah, it's
is
really a sound.
insane.
It was a team of guys. Yeah.
That is insane.
But
That's
That's brilliant, though.
superhuman.
And I think, Tony, weren't you saying that was like a new method they came up with? Was it like on the spot?
it was, yeah. He just figured it out. The orthopod, the orthopedic surgeon, who was called when he's called the ER, and then he thought, oh, well, I can't put, I'm going to try to save this foot, but I can't attach skin to nothing. So, he just happened to read about Daniel Alum being in town, and he called up Daniel,
What
and
the?
Daniel's like, wow, let's do this.
Let's do this. We
Crazy, yeah.
got
And so
someone
you can
willing.
put weight on your foot now, right? I mean, when you
I
walk, when I
can.
saw you walk, it's, you're even with the prosthetic and this other foot, you look, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
normal. Like I wouldn't have known
Yeah.
if you didn't tell me, if you had wear long
Oh,
pants.
well, thank you. That's I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Believe me, it took 3 years and 9 surgeries. I was in and out of the ER, or not ER, but in and out of the OR. I was
Hmm.
getting a lot of surgeries, and then I had to every time after they change and mix it. They try to fix something. You have to learn how to walk again, and that's a process. There's the thing called parallel bars, and that's what there's a room with mirrors all around it, and these parallel bars, and you just pull yourself off the ground, and use the parallel bars, and you watch yourself in the mirror, and because I don't have a lot of nerve sensation down there, and especially not clearly nothing on
Right.
the prosthetic side, but even on the other leg, I have very little nerve
Probably
sensation, and
lost some
so.
nerves. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
So
most
you
of
just
the
have to
nerves.
watch it. You
So
don't, yeah, you
you're
can't feel
just
it.
you're watching your foot, seeing where to the heel strike, where to put the roll, and you
Wow.
really have to break down the mechanics of walking. Yeah, you have to really look at how the human gait works,
Right.
and break it down to individual components. And I tell you, the first time I was all, yeah, let's do this, and by the third time I was like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
Comfortable.
I had so much trouble pulling myself off the ground. Um, and
Wow.
and I was doing this while I was trying to run a company. I mean, like I said, we hadn't finished that round of funding,
Oh
and
man.
when the when our lead investor, it was a private equity group, had heard, they were trying to there's a clause, a force majeure clause, and they were trying to utilize that to get out.
Oh man.
Oh
I guess that
man.
is a force
Yeah,
majeure. I mean, if there ever was one, a shark kind of is
I
a force
guess.
majeure, right?
yeah. It was so anyway, the next 3 years were rough. Were really, really rough. But we were able to keep the lights on, keep it going.
Man.
Um, and that's why in 2019, it was time to walk. I mean, we got everything back to working and moving forward, and it was the time to step away. It was just, I
So,
mean, I
so
can't tell
you
you how many nights
were you still
I would
involved? I
just
mean, so
be.
you were still, so you were in the hospital, I guess, for a while. And then as soon as you're out, were you like, hey, I got to go back and like finish this round of funding? Or like, what was your mental
That's
state?
exactly what I was. I was doing Zoom
Wow.
call. Well, I was back then it was Skype, but I was doing Skype calls from the hospital, and I spent 3.5 months in the hospital the first time.
Hmm.
And literally within a week of getting in the hospital, I was not even. I was walking with a walker, and I was
Wow.
on a plane to Beijing, and
On
Oh
a
my
plane to
because that's where the private
God.
equity
Beijing.
group.
You are
Uh,
nuts.
and the hard part is, I mean, a lot of people in
Because
the U.S., they don't understand the American with Disabilities Act, how great it is. I mean, we have this great infrastructure in America, and people uh, don't appreciate how great it is. I mean, we have handicap hotel rooms, we have all these accommodations, and even in very developed countries, in London and in Europe, they don't have this. You go to London and you
that's
ask for,
true.
and these are the nicest hotels in the world. You ask, do you have a handicap room? Nope, we don't have anything
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
remember
that's
in
true. When I've
Beijing,
traveled in international places, nice places, and it's like, how would a wheelchair get through here? And I'm like, they wouldn't. I mean, there's just
I was at
not
the
built in.
Hyatt in downtown Beijing. I mean, this is the Grand Hyatt, beautiful, brand new hotel, one of the
Oh,
most
five
beautiful hotels in
star.
the world. Yeah, and I was asking I was checking in to ask for a handicap, and she goes, "Oh no, we don't have any handicap." I go, "Well, do you have any kind of like? Because I can't stand up in the shower. I need some kind of chair." She goes, "Well, we don't really do anything like that." I go, "Well, what do handicapped people do in China?" And she took to me and she goes, "In China, handicapped people stay at home." I was like,
Oh
"Well,
man.
that
She
answers my
actually said that
question."
to you? Holy cow.
That's exactly what she
Wow.
said.
That's crazy.
Um, but that's the attitude, and which is fine. I mean, that's just the
Wow.
way things are
Different
around this
country.
world.
So now your
Yeah.
attitude, so your thinking was this because it had to be you, or were you thinking like I want to do this, I want to get my funding, or was it just like I have to do it because otherwise I'd let down everybody?
Yeah, I've kind of thought about that a lot. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt at the time it had to be me because, I mean, this, to be frank, well, um, yeah, I felt like it had to be me. I felt like that this was my baby, and nobody's going to love this thing like I do. And a lot of that's probably ego, and a lot of that's probably when you shepherd something from the beginning and you're really caring for it, and nobody can tell the story like I
Right.
can, or and that's what you feel. But that's part of walking away. And it's easy to look back now, or not easy, but that was part of walking away. And then looking back is to really be able to kind of see, well, how much of that was my own ego? How much of that was
Mm.
real truth? And I think that that was one of the perspectives I gained is really allowing, and that's not the founder's mentality. The founder's mentality is you gotta, everything, and you got to take care of every little thing and make sure everything looks perfect. But being able to trust other people, being able to walk to, allow the organization that you built to really kind of, to go with it, to take over.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
So, I mean, I remember you were telling me, a couple weeks ago that you remembered when you were sitting in China, like when you were going back for your funding and you just had this catharsis, like, what the hell am I doing? Was that
Yeah.
kind of on your mind then? Like, what was your state of mind? Like, this is going to keep me busy, or is this like, I'd get this thing done so I can get out of here?
That was I mean, it used to be that it was one of my greatest joys to be on the road. I
Right.
was excited. It was part of
Mm.
the game.
Yeah.
I was a player in the game. But I was telling you about this. I was just sitting in a hotel in Beijing, looking out the window at this beautiful skyline of Beijing after a long day of meetings, and my foot hurt. I was attached to a wound vac, during these meetings, I have to act. I do not bring a walker. I bring a walker on the plane. I bring a walker to the hotel. But then when I go to the meeting, I bring a cane because a walker just sends all the wrong
Weakness.
signals.
Wow.
Yeah, and I take the wound vac off, and I put the catheters and I hide them under my pants. I
Oh
tape it to my
man.
leg and leave everything in the hotel room. And I walk in there with a cane, and I smile, but I just, so at the end of the day, it's a painful day. And I am just staring out the window, and I am realizing, that what am I doing here? How much is enough?
Yeah.
What is important in my life? And, yeah, it was a real realization. And that's when I started putting into play my exit. How do I get out of here? How do I move on? How do I move to the next step?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean,
crazy.
that's like about the Supermanest willpower ever. Like to be able to even go in there like that and put the tubes down in your pants or whatever and like act like normal in order to get your funding.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, you said that you were
willpower.
in Beijing a week and a half after this happened. So,
Yeah.
Not after
like,
it
I
happened though, right?
mean,
After you got out.
No, after I got out of the hospital.
right. But
Yeah,
still, okay. So, got out of the
yeah.
hospital. Okay. So, you at least had a little bit of time. But,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. And I
shouldn't you
went to
be in
rehab
like
too.
some kind of therapy? Is like, do people need therapy, right? I mean, you're adjusting to a
Well,
very
he's learning how to
different,
walk.
yeah, you're
That's
learning how to walk,
Yeah.
and there's probably a whole mental
that,
side of like,
No, I mean, I was seeing a therapist once a week at least, back then.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
And they were
it
like,
was,
yeah, you just go on, head on to Beijing in a week and a half, or were
did
they
they give
like,
you
you
the
probably
okay?
shouldn't, maybe take it easy or
well,
something?
I mean, I mean, I think I was the only one that could really close this round,
Mm.
and there were a lot of jobs, that we had, I think, over 120 employees at the time, and a lot of other investors who had put their faith in me.
Hmm.
And I mean, there was a lot riding on this. And, you know, um, I mean, I've never run one of these huge companies, these $1 million or million person or 10,000, 100,000 person companies. My companies are small. I mean, 100, 120 people, and you know people, you know everyone, you know their kids, you know you've been with
Yeah.
them for by that time 8 years, and um, you know I knew a lot of the guys who were counting on me for their mortgage to send their kids to college, and
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
it's I don't take that lightly. I don't take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So when you look back to it, I mean, I know you told me you think about this a lot, but when you look back to it, was it still the right call to go back there and get the funding done so soon after you came out of hospital?
yes, yes,
Yeah. No
it's what
regrets.
needed to be done.
Yeah.
We were at the time we were running on fumes money wise.
Mm.
We were the 3 month delay did not help. We should have closed that round, you know, within a month. You know, we were running on reserves by that point, and
Wow.
yeah, it needed to happen, and it needed to close, and then certain other things had to happen, and
That is a
but
superhero move, man. I bet a lot of people were very thankful. You know, it makes me think of like the Michael Jordan flu game or something, which is totally not
Right.
non-consequential, but like somebody who's just
no,
like, just I'm gonna freaking do it. Like no matter
Yeah.
what, through hell and high water,
And
I'm
you did
gonna
it. You
get this
got the
done.
funding. So
That's
even if
insane.
you said that maybe somebody else possibly could have, but like you knew you could and you did it. So in the end, that was the
Wow.
right thing.
Yeah, good for you. That's crazy.
no. But it gives you a lot of perspective, and that's, you know, it was to me it was the right move to walk away. I mean, the company had done whatever I could. You know, companies have different phases. They need different leaderships for different phases, and it was definitely the right time to walk away. And so, you know, and
Yeah.
then for the last couple of years, I've been sitting on a couple boards and just
And
really trying
having a
to
family.
live more life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Met a wonderful person, and who already had two kids of her own, and that's something I really missed out on. I missed out on having my own kids, and you know, yeah, it was just a sacrifice to traveling all the time, to being to trying to, you know, build an empire. I guess that I never had time to, or never had the time to really have have kids of my own,
The
and it's
family,
been
yeah.
great. It's been so rewarding. It's been
That's what you sort of
yeah,
realize,
it's
right?
been
Especially
wonderful.
the older you get, is how important the family thing is, and that's kind of like the primary, you know, or the primary goal for all of us in the end is actually family, not working your butt off every single day.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
from the time of the attack until I got into the OR, or to got into the ER, you know, it was about an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and that thought occurred to me many times. I mean, when you're sitting
mm,
there and you can barely breathe, because it wasn't that I had any trouble with my lungs, it's just that there was no blood. And so
Yeah.
you literally like feel like you are suffocating.
mm.
And the whole thing is get your heart rate down, because you know that the harder you pump, the more oxygen you need. So just calm, get your heart rate down, but you are slowly suffocating.
Wow.
And there's this coldness that comes over you, and you know you feel the death coming, and all you can think about is, okay, what is life? What
Mm.
you know what
Yeah, what's it about? That's
who am I going to miss? Who's going to miss me?
Hmm.
Um, what are the things that are really important? Yeah, that
And
was
then all
a
of a sudden,
very
it's not
important
just
90
like,
minutes.
yeah, it's not like, usually money and those types of achievements,
yeah.
like,
Did you have this
No,
thing of like you like when you said you got to the Queen's Hospital and you just kind of let yourself go, did you have this thinking of that's it, I'm dead? Did you have this light at the end of the tunnel thing? Any kind of like sort of death thinking like that?
no, I just passed out. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I wish I could say
no dreams,
you know,
no light. Yeah, you didn't see some light that was
no,
calling you, and then you got pulled
no.
back.
I
So you
mean,
just passed out, and then you just woke up, and it was like they had already reattached everything, and
no. They at the ER they stabilize you. They pump you full of blood, 8 liters, which
was
that
well
Is
was
that
a
a
needed.
lot,
lot?
because
This is
normally
a
an
lot.
entire
Yeah.
body only has yeah an entire body only has five. So
What?
Oh my God.
yeah.
Because it kept
You'd
coming
lost
out. They had to
eight.
keep pumping it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well,
Oh man.
they saw that. Oh, and I should say, definitely donate blood. you are able to, because that's what really saved my
That's
life.
what
If you
was
have some
able to
time
save
out
you.
there and was listening, please, yeah, donate blood and donate organs. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, but anyway, yeah, and they had, I remember I woke up as they were pulling me out of the ER, bringing me up to the OR, and there was about, maybe an hour where I was awake and talking, and my friends had gotten to the ER by that time, and I talked to a couple of them, and I felt, yeah, I mean, I was very happy to be alive.
What, were you
Um,
surprised to be alive?
no, I guess I don't know. I
Huh.
somehow knew that. I guess that's a
Well, when
dumb
you
thing
made
to
it to the
say,
ER, you
but
kind of figured you'd made it, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's just like that mental, again, that super willpower. I mean, that's just like, hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make myself live. And you're expecting it and you did. That's pretty incredible, man. I think a lot of people would have just been like, that hurts too much. I'm out. You kind
Well,
of give up.
yeah, I don't think I would
That's
have been
amazing.
able to swim it even as far like it would have just been like I would have been drowning after that probably and
That's
just
crazy. So,
sinking.
but
Well,
but
when
you
you
still,
first,
yeah.
yeah. Well, when you first, start losing a lot of blood, you feel great. You feel like, oh, I'm fine. And I was swimming hard, and I was thinking, oh,
Oh
I'm gonna make
man.
this. But then, like literally within 5 minutes, you start like
Hmm.
everything starts to weaken, and your arms, you can't even lift your arm over your head. It's
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
how fast it happens, and then you just start feeling like, oh, I cannot make it. I am.
Yeah.
Well, so the
Um,
other cool thing is I know after this you're still swimming. You're open water swimming, right? And
yes.
you still were
Yeah.
surfing after that. I mean, how's that? So you got a prosthetic and you're just like, I'm gonna surf on a prosthetic.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm an engineer, and so I got to work designing my own prosthetics.
Awesome.
That's
Got a machine
wild.
shop, got a maker space, and so I've designed about
Whoa.
I have about 12 different legs now. I have a leg for rock climbing. I have a leg for surfing. I have a leg for biking. I have a leg for hiking. I
That's
have, of
insane.
course,
You're
I
so
have a
much more
skiing leg
active than
and a
everybody
snowboarding
else.
leg.
Yeah,
Snowboarding, oh my
Um,
exactly.
goodness.
it's fun because each time you design a leg, it's all trial and error. So you build the leg, you design it out, CAD it out, you design it, get it machined out, and then you go out on it, and it's like, oh, this sucks. This is wrong, this is wrong. I mean, I went through like four different ski legs before I finally got one that would really work with the skis.
Jeez, man.
And yeah, and then you just kind
That's
of go with that. It's been fun. It's been a lot of neat.
that's
It's been
so
really fun.
insane though. Again, like who would do that? Who would actually take the time
Yeah.
to do it? That's so amazing. So when you're in the water now, so I open water swim too, and I think about sharks all the time, even though I never had. What do you think about it? Like, because there's a lot of places, even in Hawaii, like
I
your
get scared, yeah,
visibility
when
is
I can't
5 feet, 10
see
feet.
in murky
Yeah.
water. It kind of
Do
freaks
you
me
think
out.
about it?
And as a young kid, I saw Jaws and all, and it just kind of, yeah, freaks me out a little.
I do think about it, but the reality is that there's only about 5 or 6 shark attacks
Yeah.
per year in the entire
So, oh,
United
again, you
States.
go to the math, the
You're
Asian
just
math of
doing
it.
it the
Yeah, I
math
mean,
way. Yeah, like
by
what's the
far the most
odds?
dangerous thing any of us ever do is to get on the freeway. Get in our car
Yeah.
on the freeway.
That
That is
is
by far.
true mathematically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean,
But that's not
so you
nearly
just
as scary as Alex like getting.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's
well, I do
hilarious.
look behind me when I swim. I'm
Okay,
constantly checking my
Ah,
you
you're
got a new
checking
stroke.
behind now. Yeah.
And then I met a shark expert. Her name's Ocean Ramsey. She does. Oh,
Oh,
if you
I've
guys
seen
watch some of her videos,
totally. I've seen a
yeah,
bunch of her videos. You met her. That's
yeah, she
awesome.
works out of yeah, she works off the North Shore, and
Yeah.
I met with her a few times, and then I went on a couple dives with her, and she's just a really amazing, and she really understands shark behavior. And one of the things she really talks about is making eye contact. And sharks want to attack if you got your back turned,
Mm.
if you're not paying attention, if you're alone. So stay with the group, make eye contact, face them, and so diving with her, we dove right to a big, you know, I don't say it. I don't know what the proper word for a nest or a flock of sharks,
That
and
did
you
not
just
Yeah.
freak you out.
Exactly.
Like I would
no,
have the PTSD of it.
Right.
I mean, you
You're
just
like,
kind of
well, I already know now I can just like rip its eyeball out,
Yeah, yeah. And you did
you
the math.
know,
You're like,
do
it's not
no,
the
gonna.
math and Bruce Lee it, I guess.
no,
That's
no. I
amazing. So you
well,
went
yeah,
into this. No,
So
okay, so
you're,
sorry, start. Didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt. So
deep
you
sea
went in with
diving
Ocean
into a
Ramsey, who's this amazing super
flock
expert
of
diver,
sharks.
in
She
within all
is.
these sharks
Yeah.
in a cage or no?
No, 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 no. She doesn't do
Oh my
cages.
God.
Yeah, cages are.
Right.
No
Yeah,
cages.
why would
Okay.
you? You know.
Chainmail or anything.
Well,
You're
it's a
just
rare.
like
Yeah,
dive suit, nothing.
yeah. And then the key is you make keep eye contact. Sharks come right up to you, and and then you, yeah,
I guess so.
and as long as you have eye contact with them, they just kind of move on,
You
and
know,
you're with a
I
group,
Wow.
and
I have seen that many times in Ocean Ramsey's videos, and I'm like, is that for real? Like, can anybody do that, or can only her do that? If I was diving with her like that, I would be like back to back with her the whole time. Like,
But then see,
I would
your
like
eyes
throw
would
her in the
not be
way.
making contact with the shark on the other side of her,
yeah,
and it would then go
exactly.
around and it would get you. You better be
That's
careful. I
crazy,
would just
man.
follow my
Well,
eyes
yeah,
wherever her eyes are going.
well,
Yeah.
Hansel, next time you're in Hawaii, I can introduce you to her. And I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, you should go there. You should try it out. I mean, it's a great dive.
Oh man,
It is very fun, and she takes people out all the time.
that's
And
insane.
it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. I
Wow.
highly, highly recommend it. I think it's called One Ocean or Ocean One Ocean, and just
Okay.
look it up. It's so
Man, I feel
worth
like
it.
I would have panic attack. Lisa, you know Lisa pretty well. She can't even
Yeah.
snorkel because there's fish and like coming near her.
Because there's fish. Yeah. That's
So
usually the
Yeah.
point of
Mm.
snorkeling, but yeah, that
that's
would do it.
crazy. That would be amazing,
Do
Tony.
you ever swim
Wow.
alone, Hansel? Because I know you
I
train.
I
Do you
swim alone
swim
all the
alone?
time, but you know where I
But
swim,
see, maybe you
Tony.
shouldn't be alone. You
I
just
swim in
said.
Ala Moana. So they have the
Yeah.
reef in front of it, which a shark can't really get through the
Oh,
reef. So, but
Yeah,
but
you're very
still,
safe.
there's barely any visibility, and I'm
so
still
they don't
always
come
thinking,
in inside of that reef in Ala Moana.
I'm assuming they can't get in
They
there.
can't. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
It's like a
okay. You can
wall. It's a
swim
big
alone all
wall.
you want,
Yeah.
but still, I don't know.
Wow, what an amazing story. This man, we usually do like some Haru quiz or whatever, but this is like the most interesting, crazy story we've ever
That's out
heard.
the door. Yeah.
But so if you look back, Tony, to sort of your life as a whole, where you obviously super crazy smart dude who had so many amazing accomplishments in the business world, but then this sort of catharsis, do you look back and go, hey, this is what I was meant to do, and then do my family thing later? Or do you have any sort of regret about, hey, maybe I should have not gone as hard on business and done the family thing earlier?
I don't have any regrets at all. I mean,
Good.
that is one thing that is not worth it to regret because it is what it is, and
Yeah.
um, it has gotten me with all the bad, horrible decisions I've made in the past. They've just gotten me to where I am, and
Right.
I'm in a great place.
Absolutely.
So it's
You're in an amazing place. Yeah. And
I
so
feel
actually
like
take this time to tell us about a bit about your family and your kids. If they go to Punahou or whatever, tell us about who they are.
oh well, yeah. Erica is she's an OBGYN over
Your,
at Kaiser,
so she's
and
not
she
your
has two
wife. Is she your wife or is she just girlfriend?
no girlfriend.
Close girlfriend.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that a personal question that's going to get you in trouble?
Yeah, should we delete that part?
Like, exactly. Like, it's
Yeah,
going to be like,
maybe it's
no.
best not to go into definition, relationship definition right now,
Yeah.
especially over the air where
Yeah.
I watch this. Especially my mom. My mom will be watching this like,
That's
what?
right. Your mom's going to be like, wait a minute. I thought should be married by now. The parent
This is the
pressure of
definition here.
Asians not getting married. You're living in sin. The whole
Yeah.
So
thing.
two kids.
Well, yeah. Yeah, she has two kids, and frankly, that's she has two 11-year-old girls, twins, and they go to Punahou,
Cute.
and yeah, it's been this great experience. It's been far different, far tougher than I ever thought it would be. It's been but far more rewarding too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congrats. I mean, your life is so awesome in so many different ways. I mean, the shark thing was already an amazing, interesting story, but the rest of you and what you've done with all the biomed stuff, the companies and all that stuff is that could be like a whole separate podcast, like two podcasts here. Pretty amazing stuff. So let's see. Towards the end of this, so we like to ask in this season, we like to ask what you are most proud of in your entire life. You have so many things to pick from. What would you say
Yeah.
you're most proud of?
Well, I think yeah, I think it is being able to keep the company going is saving the company, and that's
Hmm.
yeah, and that is another thing I've learned is that as you grow, things change, so you learn. And I'll probably have a different answer 5 years from now, and I
Yeah.
probably would give you a different answer 10 years ago. But right now, yeah, it is that the next 3 years after the accident, how I was able to
Yeah.
come back and I was able to
Absolutely.
to recover. I mean that was a very long uphill slog. That was a very, very long uphill slog.
Yeah, you talk about,
So
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
it's
proud of
just
that.
Perseverance,
the mental
man.
requirements, perseverance, that's the word.
And
That's what
I
you
mean,
did
how you
was,
handled the thing. I mean,
yeah.
math equations and the facing death, and you're like,
Math equations facing death.
sine, cosine, and you're like
Well,
asking the
that
paramedic, is it a plus or a minus on this formula here? Like, what is going on?
oh,
I
Yeah,
would just be
pretty much.
crying like a baby, probably. I mean, that's insane. I don't even know how you could be like doing math.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you, man.
Wow.
Something definitely to be proud of. All right, so let's wrap this podcast up with the life tip. I mean, you have got to have some awesome advice for people. What
well,
would
I
advice
was
be?
listening to some of your other podcasts with some of our mutual friends, and a lot of people are giving great career advice, and but I will give some very different life advice, and I will
Nice.
say spend a moment every day. Just look at what's around you. Look at what you have. Look at the people who love you, and look at the people you love, and really, really appreciate that. And it is so easy to get lost in the jumble of everyday life. But it's amazing the gifts that we each have that a lot of times we don't notice. So take a
No, I
moment
love
every
that.
day. Look at the
I,
people around you.
that is great advice because I mean, you said that like when your heart was slowing down, that obviously most of us might have those thoughts, but like you don't want to wait or you don't ever want to experience that, honestly. And so if you can just take your tip and maybe think about it, um,
Yeah.
that I
Yeah,
like that.
on our other episodes, you mentioned that other people generally give like some kind of business advice. And I'm always like, why are you giving business advice? Like, it's about life. Life is about life. It's not about business. So I appreciate that it's like put the perspective on. That's what is most important. I think Wayne and I talk about that all the time, with the Coder School, why we do it. A big part of it is experience with each other. It's not like let's try to make it as big as possible. It's not about the money. It's about the experience with each other and then having time to spend with our families and do the things we want to do.
And you're affecting lives. I mean, that's the greatest thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
that's the
right.
best thing that you are
We're
teaching people.
making
You're
a
giving
bigger
people
impact than any
skills.
Not like
heart
you.
valve. Yeah, the heart
Yeah.
valve thing. I
Well,
mean, come
you
on.
are.
That's just you're
Yeah.
saving people's hearts. I mean, come on. We're
Well, you
like
guys are
we're
being
teaching a kid
you
like
guys.
how to do a for loop. Come on.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys are being yeah, I think you're underplaying what you guys are doing. I mean, because I really think that I mean, you're giving people skills for the future. You're teaching them how to learn. You're also and there's a confidence that comes with learning. That unless you understand how to code or things like that, then everything is scary. It's like this phone is scary. What is this phone? But once
Mhm.
you're able to kind of look under the hood, kind of understand things, it becomes less scary. It becomes less, people become less reticent about things, and you
Yeah.
bring confidence, and you also bring learning, and then of course just the skills for the future. I mean, you guys are underplaying what you're doing. It's amazing. You're allowing people, you're giving people, you're affecting people's lives. One of the
Appreciate that.
biggest things people think about later on in life is they remember their teachers, they remember the things they learned,
Mm.
they remember those
That is
experiences,
true.
and that's what you guys are doing.
Wow. Well, I definitely appreciate that. I mean, coming from a guy of your stature and your experience and your background, that's some good words for us. We will take
Yeah,
that to heart for
really
sure.
appreciate
But
that.
Tony, man, thanks so much. I know it's running a little bit long, but what an interesting podcast. Thanks so much, man, for your time today. Really cool stuff. And congrats, of course, on being
Yeah,
super
congrats.
stud. Like, what an amazing guy you are.
Thanks,
Well, it was
Tony.
wonderful talking with you guys.
We are sponsored by none other than the Coder School, a company that teaches kids how to code with over 70 locations all around the country. So if you're interested in getting your kids to code, head online and check us out. Learn to code, change the world. Thanks for listening.